Let me ask you something, brother. Have you ever had someone linger in your mind long after they've left your life? Maybe it was an ex, a close friend you've drifted apart from, or even someone who appeared in your world briefly but left a mark you can't explain. You're not texting them. They're not calling you. And yet somehow, they still live rent-free in your head. You think about them during quiet moments. They show up in dreams, memories, songs, smells, or sudden flashes of emotion. It's like their presence follows you, even though they're long gone. And if you're being honest with yourself, it's exhausting. You wonder, why can't I stop thinking about them? Is it because I still care? Do they feel the same way? Or worse, what does this say about me? This mental tug of war can feel like a weight you didn't ask to carry, one that grows heavier the more you try to push it away. But here's what I need you to hear today, and this might surprise you. When someone takes up space in your thoughts like this, it's rarely just about them. It's about what they represented. It's about the emotions they stirred in you. It's about the parts of yourself that were exposed, awakened, or left unresolved through that connection. See, most people think they're obsessing over a person. But what they're really caught up in is a feeling, an unmet need, a memory they haven't made peace with. This kind of emotional residue doesn't mean you're weak or broken. It means you're human and there's something deeper happening beneath the surface. Something that's asking to be seen, felt, and understood. And that's exactly what we're going to explore in today's video. We're not here to give you a quick fix. This isn't about cutting someone off cold turkey or pretending you don't care. This is about going inward, about uncovering why they still live in your mind, about understanding what it actually means, and most importantly, how to begin letting go from resistance, but from awareness. Because the truth is, brother, your peace matters. Your mind is sacred space. And the moment you decide to take it back, you start living from clarity instead of confusion. So stick with me. We're going to dive deep into the emotional psychology, the Stoic philosophy, and the real-life tools that can help you process, release, and rise stronger. Number 1, the emotional imprint. Why they still live in your mind. Let's talk about something that hits a little deeper than most people realize. Why does someone stay in your thoughts even when they're no longer in your life? You're not texting them. You're not seeing them around. Sometimes, you haven't even spoken in months, maybe years. And yet, their name, their face, their energy, it still echoes in the back of your mind, like a song you never meant to memorize. Why? Here's the truth, brother. People don't stay in your head because of how long they were in your life. They stay because of how deeply they touched your emotions, good or bad. This is what we call an emotional imprint. And it's powerful. Think of your mind like a canvas. Every person you connect with leaves a stroke of color. Some are light and fleeting, easily forgotten. But others, they go deep. They paint something vivid, something permanent. And that's what lingers. You see, you're not haunted by the person. You're haunted by the feeling they brought you. It might have been love. It might have been betrayal. It might have been the rare sense of being fully seen or painfully rejected. Whatever it was strong. And our minds are wired to hold on to intensity. That's why you don't remember what you ate for breakfast last Tuesday. But you remember the conversation you had with them 3 years ago on a rainy afternoon. Because it made you feel something real. And here's where it gets even more complicated. That emotional imprint isn't always tied to something good. Sometimes, we fixate on people who hurt us because the wound never fully closed. Other times, we replay moments of joy with them because we haven't felt that level of connection since. Let me ask you this, and be honest with yourself. When they come to mind, what do you feel? Is it sadness? Is it longing? Is it resentment? Or maybe even gratitude? Whatever it is that is your clue. Because often it's not about them. It's about the part of you that was activated in their presence. Maybe they made you feel safe, in a way no one else has. Or maybe they challenged you to grow even through pain. That's why the imprint sticks. Because it isn't about the persona, it's about what they represent inside of you. Now, let's bring in some ancient wisdom here. Marcus Aurelius, son of the great Stoic philosopher Sansi, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Brother, this is your reminder. You can't erase the emotional imprint, but you can control how you carry it. You don't have to keep spiraling into regret or longing or anger. You can choose to see it differently. You can say, "Wow, that person showed me what I was capable of feeling. Now I know what I value. Now I understand the parts of me that still need healing." Because the imprint, it's not a prison. It's a mirror. A mirror that reflects how deeply you're wired to connect, to feel, to grow. Let me share something personal. A friend of mine once told me about a mentor she couldn't stop thinking about. It wasn't romantic. It was someone who saw her potential when she was at her lowest. Someone who believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. But one day, they disappeared. No falling out, no closure, just distance. For years, she thought about them constantly. And one day, it hit her. It wasn't them she missed. It was how they made her feel empowered, seen, alive. And once she realized that, she stopped chasing the ghost. She started building that version of herself again on her own. That's the shift. So if you're holding on to someone in your mind right now, don't shame yourself. Don't fight the thoughts. Acknowledge them. Then ask, what is this really about? Because when you understand the emotion beneath the memory, you gain the power to release the weight and keep the lesson. You become the one who paints your canvas again. Bold, intentional, free. Number 2, the role of silence, when no words speak loudest. Let's talk about something that most men underestimate. Silence. Not the peaceful, grounding kind you seek on a quiet morning. I'm talking about the other kind, the kind that lingers after connection disappears. No messages, no closure, no explanation. Just silence. And here's the thing. Silence is never empty. It's a canvas and your mind will paint all over it. When someone stops communicating with you, your brain doesn't shut off. It does the opposite. It starts working overtime to fill in the blanks. You replay old conversations. You wonder what they're thinking. You imagine what you did wrong or worse, what they might be doing now. And because you have no real answers, your imagination takes control. That's when things get dangerous. Because when there's no clarity, you start creating stories. Sometimes you idealize them, remembering only the best parts and forgetting the rest. Other times, you spiral into negativity, assuming the worst about them and yourself. And here's the kicker. It's not the silence that hurts. It's the meaning you attach to it. Let that sink in. There's a quote from Stoic philosopher Epictetus that captures this perfectly. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. In other words, it's not what's happening that's breaking you down. It's how you're interpreting it. You see, we humans crave resolution. We want certainty. And when we don't get it, our nervous system freaks out. We start grasping for answers, any answer 7 if they're wrong. So when she stops texting, or when a friend suddenly drifts away, your brain says, something must be wrong with me. Or, they've moved on, I wasn't enough. But brother, those aren't truths. Those are mental placeholders. Projections of your fears, not reality. And the longer the silence lasts, the louder your inner voice gets. That's why silence can be so deceiving. It becomes a megaphone for your insecurities. But here's where the shift happens. Instead of letting silence control you, what if you used it to meet yourself? What if that quiet space wasn't a punishment but an invitation? See, silence reveals more about your inner world than the other person's intentions. So let me ask you, when they go quiet, what emotions rise up in you? Is it anxiety? Abandonment? Anger? Hope? Those reactions are like emotional breadcrumbs. They lead you back to wounds you've been avoiding. Maybe you're still carrying the weight of being left behind years ago. Maybe you've been taught to equate silence with rejection. Or maybe you're realizing you've tied your peace to someone else's presence. Whatever it is, silence is showing you what still needs healing. And that's a gift if you're brave enough to look. Here's a story I'll never forget. A guy I knew went through a messy breakup. No explanation, just poof gone. She blocked him. No goodbye, no closure. At first, he was obsessed. Checked her social media, replayed every word they said. Then one day, he told me something powerful. He said, "I realized I was more addicted to the uncertainty than I was to her." Let that land. He wasn't missing her. He was trapped in the story his mind had built to survive the silence. Once he saw that, everything changed. He started journaling, meditating, going to therapy not to figure her out, but to finally figure himself out. Silence became his teacher. And yours can too. So how do you reclaim your power in the face of silence? First, pause. Don't react. Don't chase. Just breathe. Acknowledge the discomfort without letting it dictate your worth. Second, separate fact from fiction. Ask, is this thought true or is it a story I've created? Third, turn inward. What does this silence reveal about what you need? Is it validation? Is it closure? Is it inner peace? Because here's the truth, brother. You don't need their words to understand your worth. You don't need closure to find clarity. And you don't need someone's presence to build your own. Sometimes the silence is loud, because it's echoing the part of you that's finally ready to be heard. So, next time someone goes quiet, don't chase the noise. Sit in the silence. Listen to what it's telling you. And choose to make that space a sanctuary, not a prison. If this speaks to you, write, "I embrace the silence" in the comments. Because in a world addicted to noise, the man who can sit in stillness becomes unshakable. Number 3. What they represent, the symbol they hold in you. Let me offer a perspective that can shift everything. Sometimes the people who linger in our minds the longest aren't really about who they are anymore. They're about what they represent inside of us. You're not thinking about her just because she was beautiful. You're not stuck on him just because of a few good memories. You're holding on because something about that connection pointed to a deeper part of you. It could be the way they made you feel loved, valued, seen. Or maybe it was a sense of freedom, purpose, or safety that showed up only when they were around. And now that they're gone, you're not chasing them. You're chasing that feeling. Let that land for a second. They might have represented a version of you that you miss. The more playful you, the more open-hearted you, the more confident, curious, or alive version of you. Or maybe they awakened something deeper, a wound you didn't know was still bleeding, an old rejection, a fear of abandonment, a part of you that still longs to be chosen. Whatever it is, they became a mirror. And the longer you avoid looking into it, the louder the emotional echo becomes. Let me ask you a simple but powerful question. When you think about this person, who do you become in your mind? Do you see yourself as empowered, or abandoned, inspired, or insecure? Because that answer tells you what they symbolize and why they still hold space in your head. Here's something a friend once told me. She went through a breakup with a man who had supported her during the darkest season of her life. Years later, she still couldn't stop thinking about him. She thought it was love. But when she got quiet and started journaling, she realized it wasn't him she missed. It was the version of herself she became when she was with him. A version that felt strong, believed in, capable. That realization shifted everything. Because once she understood what he represented, she could stop waiting for someone else to bring that version of her back and start reclaiming it herself. That's the work. And brother, this isn't about shaming your emotions. This is about understanding them. Because when you identify the symbol that person holds for you, whether it's validation, freedom, safety, intimacy, or acceptance, you stop seeing them as the missing piece. And you start realizing you can rebuild that experience from the inside out. Stoic philosophy reminds us, dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. Marcus Aurelius. That line speaks volumes. It means you don't have to stay trapped in the past to access the beauty it once gave you. You can use it as a compass to direct you forward. So here's what I want you to reflect on today. What part of you came alive when you were with them? And how can you start nurturing that part again without needing their return? Because the truth is, not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay, but almost everyone leaves a lesson. And when you turn their memory into meaning, when you take what they represented and build it into your own identity, you no longer need their presence to feel whole. You reclaim your power. You carry the memory with gratitude, not grief. You become your own closure. So take a moment. Think about what this person symbolized in your life. What were they really giving you or reminding you of? Was it love? Hope? Inspiration? Or maybe a lesson wrapped in pain? Whatever it was, write it down. Name it. Honor it. Then ask yourself, how can I give that to myself now? Because when you do that, brother, you stop chasing ghosts and start living from a place of grounded truth. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below saying, I see what they represented, and I choose to build it within me. That's the shift. That's the freedom. And that's the man you're becoming. Number 4, the power of self-awareness. Asking who you are in the story. Let me challenge you with a different kind of question today. When someone takes up space in your mind day after day, why is that? Not why did they leave? Not what did they mean? But why do they still live in your thoughts? Because that question, brother, it's not about them anymore. It's about you. This is where we bring in something most men were never taught to value. Self-awareness. Not in the Instagram self-help way. Not in some abstract spiritual fluff. I'm talking about the real kind. The kind that looks inward with honesty. The kind that turns on the flashlight in a dark room and asks, what's really going on in here? See, when your mind keeps circling back to someone from the past, there's usually a reason. And it's not random. That loop of thinking, that emotional pull, is your soul trying to get your attention, to tell you something you haven't been willing or ready to hear. So let's break this down. When you think of them, what comes up? Is it regret? Then maybe you're mourning a version of yourself that didn't act when it had the chance. Is it anger? Then maybe you feel betrayed and haven't yet acknowledged the part of you that allowed it. Is it longing? Then maybe there's something in your life right now that feels empty or incomplete. Here's the truth. You don't obsess over people. You obsess over unresolved emotions. And when those emotions pile up without being processed, your mind clings to the last person who made you feel them. But here's where the shift happens. Instead of analyzing them, start asking, what part of me is trying to be heard through this obsession? That question alone can break a mental cycle you've been stuck in for months or years. Let me give you a real example. One of my coaching clients couldn't stop thinking about a girl he dated years ago. It wasn't even a serious relationship, just a few months. But every time he saw her name pop up online, he'd feel a rush of emotion. Hope, sadness, regret. He thought he missed her. But after some honest reflection, here's what came out. She was the first person who made him feel accepted without having to perform or prove anything. And the truth? It wasn't her he wanted back. It was that feeling of being enough. That's the kind of clarity that self-awareness gives you. It's not just healing, it's liberation. Stoic philosophy says it best. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. So, what's the quality of your thoughts right now? Are they reactive? Are they driven by fear, by fantasy, by unresolved pain? Or are they grounded in presence? Rooted in truth? Focused on growth? Because once you become aware of what's really going on beneath the surface, you stop being a victim of your emotions. You stop letting the past hijack your present. You start becoming the man who doesn't just feel. He understands what his feelings are trying to teach him. And that, brother, is real power. Let me leave you with something practical. The next time you feel that familiar thought, the memory, the face, the feeling, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what am I really needing right now? What is this emotion trying to reveal to me? Maybe it's a need for connection. Maybe it's a lack of closure. Maybe it's the realization that you've been ignoring your own desires. Whatever it is, welcome it. Not with judgment, but with curiosity, because the more you practice this, the more you tune in instead of chasing outward, the less control those old memories will have over you. You stop being the man stuck in a story about someone else, and you start being the author of your own next chapter. So if this message lands with you, drop a comment below and write, I choose self-awareness, not as a one-time insight, but as a daily practice, because the man who knows himself can't be manipulated by ghosts. Number 5. When silence feeds the imagination, the story you write without words. Let's talk about what happens when silence stretches too long. Not just in the room, but in your mind. You've been there. The text never came. The call never happened. No explanation, no closure. Just silence. And in that silence, something strange starts to happen. Your mind starts writing a story. It fills in the blanks. It imagines reasons. It paints scenes that never happened and rewrites the ones that did. Because silence doesn't feel neutral. It feels personal. And in the absence of information, your imagination takes over. At first, maybe you convince yourself they're just busy. But then you start wondering, did I say something wrong? Are they losing interest? Was I never enough to begin with? And suddenly, you're no longer dealing with reality. You're wrestling with a movie in your head that you wrote, directed, and started believing. This is the trap of silence. It doesn't just echo, it amplifies your fears, your hopes, and your unhealed stories. And that's not weakness. That's just how the human mind works. We are meaning-making machines. And when there's no meaning offered from the outside, we create it ourselves sometimes, beautifully, but often destructively. Now here's where the Stoics come in. Epictetus once said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. It's not the silence itself that messes with your peace. It's the meaning you assign to it. It's the way you interpret what's not being said. And here's the catch. Those interpretations, they usually come from your own emotional blueprint. If you carry abandonment wounds, you'll see silence as rejection. If you fear being unworthy, you'll read it as proof. If you crave connection, you'll mistake the quiet as betrayal. But it's not them making you spiral. It's the internal story your mind is looping on. So how do you break free? It starts with this simple awareness. Not everything you think is true. Let me say that again for the man in the back. Not everything you think is true. Just because your brain offers you a scenario doesn't make it fact. Your thoughts are not reality. They are suggestions. And when you realize that, you reclaim your power. Here's a story that might resonate with you. A man I coached went through a no-contact situation with someone he cared deeply about. She stopped replying. No warning, No reason. For months, he tortured himself, told himself she'd moved on, that he wasn't man enough, that she probably found someone better. He built a whole narrative in his head. Then, 6 months later, he heard from her. She'd been going through a family crisis. Her silence wasn't about him, it was about survival. And that's when it clicked for him. He had wasted months battling ghosts that didn't exist. That's the cost of unchecked imagination. It drains your energy. It steals your clarity. It keeps you stuck in loops that never needed to exist. So, here's how you begin to untangle the story. 1. Pause. When your mind starts spinning, don't follow the thought. Just observe it. 2. Question it. Ask yourself, do I know this is true, or am I guessing? 3. Shift the focus. Instead of obsessing over what they're doing or thinking, ask, what do I need right now that I'm trying to get from this story? Because most of the time, the fantasy isn't about the person. It's about soothing something deeper inside of you. Maybe it's the need to feel chosen. Maybe it's a fear of being forgotten. Or maybe it's just your nervous system searching for closure it never got. Whatever it is, brother, you don't have to keep feeding the fiction. You can come back to truth, to presence, to peace. Silence can be a black hole, or it can be a blank page, and you get to decide how you write on it. So if you're in that space right now where your imagination keeps writing scripts that only hurt you, take a breath, put the pen down, and say to yourself, I don't know what they're thinking, and that's okay. Because uncertainty doesn't mean danger. It means opportunity for self-trust, for patience, for grounded clarity. And in a world full of noise, the man who doesn't overreact to silence, he becomes calm. He becomes wise. He becomes unshakable. If this landed for you, drop a comment below. I released the story. Because peace begins where fiction ends. Number 6. Reclaiming mental space. Your mind is a garden you must tend. Let's get real for a moment, brother. If someone from your past is still living in your head, rent-free, it's time to have a conversation about boundaries. Not with them, with yourself. Because your mind, it's sacred ground. It's the space where your vision grows, where your clarity lives, where your peace is supposed to rest. And yet, though often does it feel like a battlefield? How often does it feel like someone else is still calling the shots inside your own head? Let me say something bold. They don't have to be in your life anymore to still be in control. If your thoughts keep circling back to that person, through old memories, imagined conversations, what-ifs and fantasies, they're still occupying space. And the worst part? You're the one letting them stay. Now, I get it. You're not doing it on purpose. You're not sitting there saying, please haunt me today. But that's the thing about the mind. It forms loops. And once those loops take hold, they run automatically. You replay old arguments. You fantasize about closure. You wonder what they're doing, who they're with, whether they ever think of you. And none of it changes anything. That's the brutal truth. Ruminating doesn't rewrite the past. It just robs your present. Every minute you spend dwelling on what was is a minute you're not building what could be. So let's flip the script. What if you treated your mental space like a garden? Would you let weeds take over the soil? Would you let pests ruin your harvest? Would you neglect it for months and then wonder why nothing's growing? Of course not. So why do we do that with our thoughts? If someone has become a recurring presence in your mind, and it's draining you, distracting you, or disconnecting you from the now, it's time to pull that weed. Here's how you start. 1. Recognize the cycle. Catch the loop as it's happening. Notice when your mind drifts back to them. Is it when you're alone? When you're bored? When you're scrolling? Awareness is the first step to disruption. 2. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness doesn't mean emptying your mind. It means becoming an observer, seeing the thought without getting tangled in it. Try this. When a thought of them shows up, don't fight it. Just say, "Ah, there it is again," and then let it pass like a cloud drifting by. 3. Fill the space. You can't just evict an old tenant from your mind and leave the room empty. You have to reclaim it. Pour your energy into something new, a creative project, your body, your goals, something that reminds you that your life is still yours to shape. Because the more you build a life you love, the less room there is for people who no longer belong. 4. Forgive. Not for them, for you. Forgiveness isn't saying what they did was okay. It's saying you're done carrying it. It's letting go of the resentment, the regret, the need for validation. Because those things are chains. And you weren't born to be chained. Here's a quick story for you. A friend of mine spent years replaying a breakup in his head. He'd rehearse the same arguments. Think of better things he should have said. He'd even imagine scenarios where she'd come back and finally get it. And one day, he realized something. She wasn't hurting him anymore. He was. By keeping the loop alive, he was reliving pain that no longer needed to exist. That's when he made a choice. He started journaling. He started meditating. He forgave. And slowly the loop unraveled. Now his mind feels like what it should have always been. A sanctuary, not a storage unit for ghosts. So I'm asking you today, what parts of your mind have you abandoned to the past? Where could peace bloom if you stopped watering the weeds? If you're ready to reclaim your mental space, drop this in the comments. I choose peace. Not as a slogan, as a lifestyle. Because your mind isn't just where your thoughts live. It's where your future is planted. And the man who tends that garden, he doesn't just move on. He rises. Number 7, the gift of letting go, not giving up, but gaining freedom. Let me say something that might hit different. Letting go is not giving up. It's not weakness. It's not quitting. And it's definitely not defeat. Letting go is liberation. It's the most powerful, most underrated gift you can give yourself. Because here's the truth, brother. You can't move forward while you're still dragging the weight of yesterday. And a lot of men, they're not stuck because of lack of potential. They're stuck because of emotional luggage they refuse to unpack. Now, I know what you might be thinking. But if I let go, doesn't that mean none of it mattered? No closure, no justice, no resolution that's not fair. And I get it. We're wired to hold on, to make sense of things, to wait for the apology, to want the full story before we turn the page. But here's where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." Let that sink in. You don't control what they said. You don't control what they did. You don't control whether they cared, apologized, or understood. But you do control this. Whether or not they still own real estate in your heart. Whether or not you keep replaying the same story. Whether or not you stay chained to what you can't change. That choice? That's yours. And when you choose to let go, not as an escape, but as an empowered decision, you don't lose anything. You actually gain. You gain your energy back. You gain clarity. You gain peace. You gain you. Let me offer a different lens. What if letting go wasn't about forgetting the past, but about honoring it? What if it was saying, "This mattered, this shaped me, but it no longer defines me"? That's strength. That's self-respect. That's maturity. And it's one of the most masculine things you can do. Let me tell you a quick story. A guy I coached went through a brutal breakup. He gave her everything, his time, his heart, his trust. And when it ended, it wasn't clean. There were no goodbyes, just silence. For months, he held on to the idea of her, to the possibility of closure, to the fantasy that maybe, just maybe, she'd come back. But the turning point came when he looked in the mirror and asked, "What am I losing by holding on?" And the answer was clear: his time, his joy, his future. So he wrote a letter, not to send, just to feel. He forgave her. More importantly, he forgave himself. For staying too long, for hoping too hard, for giving too much. And with that, he let go. Not of the memories, not of the lessons, but of the emotional leash that was choking his progress. That moment, it changed everything. He didn't just feel lighter, he felt free. And brother, that's the gift I want you to know is possible. Because here's what no one tells you. Letting go is not a moment. It's a practice. It's waking up every day and choosing not to carry what already ended. It's deciding that your peace is worth more than your pride. It's realizing that healing doesn't come when they come back. It comes when you come back to yourself. So if you're holding on to someone, to what could have been, to what never was, ask yourself, is this keeping me alive or just keeping me attached? If it's the latter, let it go. Not because they don't matter, but because you do. If this message speaks to you, drop a comment below and write, "I choose to be free," because you deserve to live untethered. You deserve to love without dragging pain behind you. You deserve to walk forward without looking back. And that, my friend, isn't giving up. It's growing up. Number 8. The landscape of the mind. Understand the root, grasp the meaning, then let go. Let's zoom out for a moment, brother. We've talked about the obsession, the loop, the weight. But now it's time to look at the bigger picture, the landscape of your mind. Because here's the truth most men don't hear enough. You're not stuck because you're weak. You're stuck because something meaningful hasn't been fully understood yet. The person who keeps showing up in your thoughts, it's not just them, it's what they represent. Sometimes it's an unfinished chapter. Sometimes it's a version of yourself you haven't made peace with. Sometimes it's a deep need unmet, unspoken, unresolved. Maybe they were the first person who saw you in a way no one else did. Maybe they reminded you of the freedom you used to feel. Maybe they triggered something so raw in you that part of you still hasn't caught up emotionally. And when your mind keeps bringing someone back over and over again, that's not failure. That's a signal. A message from within. Hey, there's something here that still needs healing. And when you finally stop resisting it, stop judging yourself for it, you can actually start listening to what it's trying to teach you. So let's ask the deeper question. What's the meaning behind this mental obsession? It's not about them anymore. It's about you. That person may symbolize something deeper. A fear of being abandoned. A craving for validation. A part of you that still believes love has to hurt to feel real. And once you recognize that, you stop blaming yourself for not moving on fast enough. Instead, you begin uncovering your inner landscape. Here's the Stoic lens. Marcus Aurelius said, "You can endure anything as long as you don't add to it with your thoughts." What does that mean in this context? It means the moment has already passed. The relationship ended. The silence has settled. What hurts now is what your mind keeps adding to that event. The stories, the fantasies, the what-ifs, the guilt, the longing. Those are what you're really wrestling with. But here's the good news. You're not helpless. You're not broken. And you don't need their apology to start your healing. Because the path to letting go, it doesn't begin with them. It begins within you. Letting go is not waiting for permission. It's not hoping they come back so you can finally feel seen. It's choosing today to stop rehearsing pain that no longer belongs in your present. It's an act of strength. It's leadership over your own emotional territory. You say, "I don't need to forget them. I just need to remember who I am without them." And that shift, that's where freedom lives. So what do you do now? You turn obsession into observation. You stop reacting, and you start reflecting. You don't push the thoughts away with force. You welcome them with curiosity. Ask, what did they wake up in me that I haven't yet faced? What part of me is still longing to be understood? And when you get those answers, you begin the quiet process of transformation. From suffering, to self-inquiry, to self-awareness, to liberation. You're not trying to erase the past. You're learning from it. And that's the difference between forgetting and freeing. So if this message speaks to you, drop this in the comments. I choose to understand, not obsess. Because, brother, your mind is not a prison. It's a garden. And the thoughts you tend will shape the life you live. You have the power to stop giving your energy to stories that no longer serve you. You have the wisdom to extract meaning instead of pain. And you have the strength to move forward, not because you're heartless, but because you're finally whole. Let's close this chapter, not by forgetting, but by evolving. So here we are, brother. We've walked through it all. The obsession, the silence, the emotional echoes. We've pulled back the curtain on why some people leave but never really leave your mind. And hopefully now, things feel a little clearer. Because this wasn't just about a person. It was about a pattern. About parts of yourself that were still waiting to be seen, heard, and healed. This is the journey most men never take. Not because they can't, but because no one ever told them it was possible. The journey of going inward, of choosing to understand instead of avoid, of turning emotional weight into emotional wisdom. And if you've made it this far, that tells me one thing. You're not just surviving heartbreak. You're choosing growth. You're beginning to reclaim your mind. You're learning how to let go by erasing the past, but by reclaiming your power from it. You're starting to see the truth. That pain is not punishment. That obsession is not weakness. And that letting go is not giving up. It's returning to yourself. This whole message comes down to one powerful reminder. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after it. So today, I want to invite you to make a choice. Don't let your mind stay a museum for old memories. Don't carry ghosts into new chapters. Don't let someone else's silence write the story of your inner world. Choose peace. Choose presence. Choose to reclaim your mind. Because your mind is not just where your past lives, it's where your future is planted. And every time you reflect instead of react, every time you let go instead of hold on, you're stepping into your own strength. That's the path of real masculinity. That's stoicism in action. That's what it means to rise. Now I want to hear from you. What part of this video spoke to you most? Drop it in the comments. Let this be a space for reflection, not just reaction. And if you're walking this path with us, if you're learning to lead yourself before you lead anyone else, then stick around. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a community. A quiet revolution of men who choose mastery over madness, who choose depth over distraction, who choose peace over chaos. If you found a sense of peace in this message, follow us to keep receiving ancient wisdom for modern life. Thank you for being part of Ancient Stoic Secrets. And before you go, share this with someone who needs it today. Because strength multiplies when it's shared.